Well, in many ways, chapter 1 of Amos has been really difficult reading. We've seen just how evil human beings can be as Amos has called out nation after nation because of the really inhumane ways they tend to treat other people. And today, at the end of chapter 1 and the start of chapter 2, we see the final two foreign nations that Amos calls out. A place called Ammon and a place called Moab. Firstly, Amos calls out the people of Ammon, or as they're known, the Ammonites. And the language here is as devastating and as brutal as perhaps anywhere else in the Bible. We see that the Ammonites have, quote, ripped open pregnant women. This is a gruesome war crime that sometimes army would do in order to seek the end of future generations of nations, to ultimately humiliate and kill the women and any future children that they might have. It's hard to believe that anyone would do such a thing, but it's even more hard to believe that the Ammonites would do this for such a pathetic reason. Notice verse 13 says they do this awful thing just so they can enlarge their borders. How evil could humanity become? That they would destroy pregnant women just so they could get more land. And so once again, God promises to judge them, which he ultimately did in 6 BC through the Babylonians. And then we move into chapter 2, verses 1 to 3, and we see the final foreign nation that Amos is going to call out, the place called Moab. And what has Moab done wrong? Well, you can see in verse 1 that they have, quote, burned to lime the bones of the king of Edom. Now, this is a very unfamiliar idea for you and I, but effectively this meant that the Moabites were damaging the tombs of Edomite kings. You see, in ancient Palestine, this was a way of thoroughly disrespecting the king, his family, and the entire nation. But once again, and for one final time, Amos says, because of your crimes against humanity, people made in the image and likeness of God, God will judge. We've reached the end of a difficult section of the book of Amos. We've seen 7 nations called out by God for their horrific crimes and sins. And it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and broken because of the state of our world. Yet the repeated source of hope is this: God sees, God knows, and God will act. In the midst of a chaotic and evil world, God sees, God knows, and God will act. And so today, in a world that for you might feel out of control, how does it encourage you to remember that God sees, God knows, and God will act?